Welcome to the Film Frontier. I'm your host, Dan Marcus. On this week's episode, we're summoning Leviticus, the newest in queer horror from writer-director David Chiarella. Leviticus is an Australian queer coming-of-age horror film. It follows two teenagers in a strict, isolated religious community in regional Victoria who are hunted by a shape-shifting entity after being subjected to a violent deliverance ritual. Leviticus was a major surprise for me. This is a deeply unsettling horror film with a bittersweet romance at its core. You could make the argument that this is a romance first, horror film second. I'd go into this with those expectations in check. However, even though this is a tender and heartbreaking story, it is still relentlessly brutal and has plenty of scares. There's one moment in particular that made me literally jump out of my chair. What I appreciated most about Leviticus is particularly the way it uses horror as a metaphor while telling a story that is deeply earnest. This doesn't wink at the audience. There's no jokes to undermine the dramatic tension or thrills. One of my biggest complaints about modern horror is how gimmicky it can feel at times, or how often humor is used. I really appreciated that this is a somber and heartfelt story that doesn't undermine its thematic stakes with a bad punchline. I really wish more modern horror filmmakers realize that sometimes horror is more effective when you leave the jokes on the cutting room floor. This doesn't mean that there aren't moments of genuine humanity in the film. Joe Bird and Stacey Caussin have exceptional chemistry in this film. I absolutely loved that this film had characters in whom you are profoundly invested in. The film takes its time to really flesh out their deep emotional connection to each other, and I believe the film is stronger because of that. While the messaging might come across as heavy-handed to some, this is a very specific experience that will definitely appeal directly towards queer audiences. You know what? I love that. I love that we're seeing a queer film presented through the eyes of queer filmmakers that seems so unique and true. Queerness has had a complex portrayal in mainstream cinema over the decades, with queer stories frequently ending in queer tragedy. While queerness has often been used in the past metaphorically, such as Freddy Krueger representing repressed sexuality in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, in the past sometimes queerness was only used as a metaphor. Well, I believe that there should be a wide range of depictions of queerness in art. I enjoyed how the characters and their connection felt so authentic and real. It's truly refreshing to watch a horror film where queerness is not the metaphor, the horror is. I grew up in a small town where queerness wasn't really welcome. My own stepdad didn't approve of me when I came out. I have had to fight my entire life just to be seen and judged on my own merits without having to explain myself. There is truth that growing up as a queer person can be enormously challenging and difficult. It can also be really beautiful. As a teenager, I found community with my queer friends. For the first time, I felt seen. I felt safe. The core messaging of this film is that we are stronger together, that despite what society tries to do by forcing us to change, we will always reject that change with resounding conviction. We will find kinship in our queer brothers and sisters, and we will always come out of any situation stronger than we were before. Leviticus recognizes this, and that's one of the many reasons why this is queer storytelling done right. I'd also argue that even if you're not queer, this film will emotionally connect with you. At the end of the day, this is a story about loneliness and isolation. If you ever felt different in your life, you'll understand how crucial it is to be surrounded by people who get you. When I saw the film on opening night, there were all types of individuals in the audience. Younger couples, older couples, straight couples, a bunch of girls. And for 90 minutes, we were all in the same dark theater, watching the same story unfold right before our eyes. It didn't matter whether we were straight or queer. We were all there to see a good movie. There's something really beautiful about that. So please, run, don't walk to your nearest theater to see this. Horror has been tremendously popular these last few years. This year alone, we've seen horror break out in a big way with films such as Obsession and Backrooms. For my money, I would say that Leviticus was the most emotionally effective horror film I've seen not only this year, but within the last few years. While I certainly enjoyed Obsession and Backrooms, I wasn't as emotionally stirred watching those films, although there were definitely moments of genuine emotion in Backrooms. However, I'm not sure if those films will stay with me quite like Leviticus has. It's a film I literally can't stop thinking about. When I left the theater, I couldn't help but reflect on the film's messaging and themes. I have a feeling I'll be ruminating on this film for a really long time. I highly recommend it. Anyway, this concludes this week's episode of The Film Frontier. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit up the comments below. Did Leviticus surpass your expectations, or was it not one of your favorite horror films of the year? As always, I'll see you at the movies. Thanks for watching.